Hold on, friends. I am Rick, and this is your seat at the table, and we are looking at an old game system that you either are familiar with or you're not familiar with. These things came out in the 70s, maybe the early 80s, and I cannot honestly tell you that I've ever seen them since. I know that there was a video game created version of this. I don't know that it did very well. I never was able to participate with it. I think it was an online game system. Anyway, you bought these things in supplement boxes. They were either in boxes or packs, and they somewhere, someplace, I have the little icon chips for this very, very extensive war game. And like I said, there are war games, and there are war games, and there are tabletop role-playing games, and there are tabletop role-playing games. Some are very crunchy, some are very simplistic. Tabletop war games are quite similar. Most tabletop war games are fairly basic. They share a lot of commonalities from depending regardless of the genre and the setting, but the pieces are pretty similar. The more the more flashy or more exotic are the ones that include minis, and you might make that argument that I'm not right in that, but the lion's share of tabletop war games use little chits, things of this nature, right? So this was for my own game system that I created, and so it's a little, yeah, the lighting's kind of crappy in here right now. There, you see the little things on the writing, and that's all handmade, handwritten stuff for my Stellar Frontiers game for the Battletop side of it, if you want to play it. Anyway, let us take a gander at Starfleet battles. Now, Starfleet, as you can see, the only way I kept this thing was to punch a bunch of holes in it and stick it into a binder. And another reason I did that is because a lot of the supplements as they came out were intended to expand a bit on the next layer of it, adding more races and some adaptation to rules and things like this. And so in reality, there's about 5 box sets worth of paperwork in here, and they kind of just overlapped each other, not like they were duplicating each other, but each one of these by task force games. So the commander's rulebook, for example. So they came out in volumes. So volume 1, 2, 3, and then supplements 1 and 2. They're all in here. And this game system is extremely number heavy, accounting heavy. There is a damn good reason why my own game system, when I created it, has a lot of this style in it, because I cut my teeth on games like this, and as well as Avalon Hill's various tabletop war games, of course the early BattleTech stuff. But this just is the mother of all space-based game systems when it comes to mechanics and rules and stats. And someplace somewhere I have sheets of ship control sheets for the various starships, depending on what and who you are referring or representing. So when we look at the basics, and we got our rules on movement, how to play, direct fire weapons, seeking weapons, drones, plasma torpedoes, ship systems. And yes, this is Star Trek. If you've not caught that in the title of Starfleet Battles, this is Star Trek. So power systems, shuttlecraft, fast patrol ships, mine warfare, rules in the Nexus game or play-by-mail system, planets, asteroids, and other navigational hazards, sublight games, sublight ships, races, background, starship, data, scenarios, general scenarios, monster scenarios, historical scenarios, advanced technology. So, and we just go through and on and on. So all right, so we got source data, introduction to Commander's Edition, Starfleet Battles. Began in 1979 as a 28-book pocket edition game with 14 ships, 7 scenarios, 108 counters, which I bought. And most of the boxes have long disintegrated and disappeared, so I don't have them, which is sad. I think I have one, maybe. And the only reason I have it was because I actually was using it to store just as a storage box for other things, because I found it much more convenient to put all this stuff into the format that it's in. And so, you know, we're looking at, if I find the pieces, and I know I have them, I've seen them a while. It's been last year when I saw them. I know I have them. I just don't know right off ready handy where I stashed them. And when I do find them again, I will do a follow-up video with them to present them a little bit better, and maybe even do a test scenario, because it has been 30 years plus since I played this game. I'm just being, you know, truthful. So here's the Tholian webcaster, the Romulan plasma cannons, seeking weapons. There's weapons and weapon systems in here, for example, that you did not see in the TV series or the Star Trek movies or cartoons or any of that sort of stuff. But they're there. For example, you don't see a whole lot of drones, and yet the possibility for them, as other than as probes, they're there and they were used. It's just like starship or fighter craft. There's fighter craft, and they have fighter craft. It wasn't until later generations of Star Trek, especially DS9, that we start actually seeing a resurrection or an inclusion of those smaller tactical fighters, because in most cases, one good solid hit from a capital class starship weapon system, and those little wannabe shuttles are toast, or fighters are toast. So, but anyway, base stations. We got United Federation of Planets, its background, a bunch of history on it, a bunch of other things of interest, such as explaining the various types of warships and craft, minesweepers, escorts, cargo pods, galactic survey cruisers, destroyer escorts, strike carriers, command cruisers, Federation space control ships, battle cruisers, actual Federation battle cruisers, light carriers, etc. Things that you don't see in the general canon, but it was thought that they would exist and it would make sense. And then we have the Klingon Empire, various stuff for the Klingons, the Romulans. And as you get into some of the later stuff, we start seeing some other, a little bit more aesthetic, older systems. To keep in mind that a lot has changed since these things came out. The Kinsey, for example, this is not a race that's overly known in Star Trek that I'm aware of. They were kind of like a feline race, if I remember correctly. Gorns, of course. Gorn ships. Tholian hold fast information on their ships. Tholian ships. Like I said, you don't see the Cardassian and Ferengi and things like this, because those didn't come along until later, decades later, after this game system had long been put on the shelf and ceased to be updated and progressed. Although I have heard rumors that there have been recent versions in the last 10 years, 15 years, that somebody's tried to resurrect the game and the game system. I don't know how much truth there is to it. The Hydrian Kingdom, tall or small, greenish gray in color with ash can shaped bodies supported by 3 stubby legs. 3 equally spaced tentacles sprout from the body. Hadrians are neckless. Their eyes, mouth, and ears are grouped in a fleshy mound on top of the body, etc. They live in preferred methane environments. So, the Lyran, yes, the Lyrans. Even in Star Trek, those damn Steiners, no. Superficially similar to their neighbors, the Kinsey, the Lyrans, pronounced Lyrans, are human-sized, cat-like humanoids in great physical strength. Their fur coats and features bear a striking resemblance to those of the Terran lynx. So I think that there's a couple of feline species in battle in Star Trek that starts to come out in like in the original movies and stuff, and I think that is an homage, or they got the idea from some of this stuff. Because I won't say that all the writers and all the concept artists and things from various science fiction franchises understood, or at least knew of or read into old game related material, but there is some connection to some of it, because in some cases they did. So we have the Wind Star Cruster, the Andromedan invaders, blah. Interstellar Concordium, plenty of bad guys, plenty of foes. And we got general rules, scenario organization, scenario types, victory conditions. All right, going forth the historical scenarios. We get sabotage, surprise, reverse, raid on a survey camp, harbor patrol, assault on the hold fast, rescuing the hostages, the Trojan shuttle, Tomcat Terror versus gunboat diplomacy, the Cutlass episode, the mighty hood goes down, highballing at the wire, down to the backstretch, pit stop, general rules for campaigns, advanced, Operation Unity, Klingon forces. Then we get into some indexes of annexes and other things. Drones, additional follow-up rules for plasma torpedoes, photon torpedoes, drones, mutiny, Klingon X ships are immune to mutiny, various add-on extras. All right, Designers, Volume 3, this volume we have, it says here, so this is an example. This is Volume 3 of Commander Starfleet Battles. You must have Volume 1 and Volume 2 in order to use this material. It is virtually impossible to use this material in conjunction with the old Designer Edition rules. This rulebook was designed to be cut apart, integrated, i.e. shuffled, and put into the format that I put it in. For example, pages 5 and 6 of this volume should be placed after page 8 of volume 2 and before page 15 of volume 1. This integration is not required. Many players prefer to keep these 3 volumes in their original bindings. Choose to do this, ignore the various instructions on how to insert the pages. So this actually walks you through how to set it up in the way that I have it set up. And honestly, I found this to be the much more convenient than trying to flip back and forth between 3 different sets of books to try to understand basic rules and things like this, and it added adaptations and other things that they've added in. So, you know, then there was a couple, like the smaller version after the main ones came out that you'd buy, and plug and play kind of stuff you'd add in here and plug it in. It is what it is. There we go. So, you know, I kept the covers, even though they're not where they should have been. They wouldn't have fit in, because literally you're intermixing the pages, and the instructions showed you how to do it. You kind of wanted to do that. So anyway, this is Starfleet Battles. Very iconic, old school game. Very hard to find nowadays. Although I imagine on the internet you can probably find PDF versions. And if anybody's heard that they have put out newer versions of these things, by all means, put that in the comments below so we know about them. So I'd be interested in looking. I don't know if I'd buy them, but one of the things that I like to emphasize over and over again in other videos, and hopefully you'll forgive me when I do that. But the way it plays out, you don't have the game systems you have now. Whether it's video games, tabletop of any sort that you enjoy now, you do not get to have those if these old systems didn't come first. Somebody had to come up with the idea. Somebody thought this would be a good idea, a great thing, actually put in an insane amount of work and effort and time. Perhaps over time, multiple people involved themselves in improving and expanding and creating. And from these, we learn lessons, what works, what doesn't work, what's considered too chunky, what's too excessive, what's not excessive, things that may have been evolved over time. They started somewhere. And this is one of those game systems that is the foundation, is a foundation brick of everything that's came ever since, in my opinion. Till next time, I'm Rick, and I hope you guys have a great weekend.